chiami bene and welcome to another episode of Bad Decision Works. I'm going to work on the car today. Sadly, it's still on jack stands and not on a lift because the lift is there in a huge box and it needs to be installed. And it's quite a simple install, but the floor here has quite a big slope because there's like a drain in the middle. Since this garage was officially designed for normal cars, which had like snow on it in the winter, and the snow melts, so it had a proper flow away from the floor of the garage. So anyway, so the floors are like this, and I don't want the columns of the lift to be like this, so I need to make some kind of spacers. That takes a while, and the next Monday is a track day at Eskilstuna GTR Motor Park, which I really want to attend since it's one of the last. They only keep these track days until the end of September, and that's rapidly coming closer. So installing oil cooler first, new oil in the car, move the oil temperature sensor, and then the car should be ready for track. There is more parts and stuff that I want to install, but it can also be later. So that's optional stuff. And yeah, in the corner you already see maybe a steel cabinet which is already built, assembled, because they come like flat packed in a flat box. And also I put up two welding carts over there, one for the TIG welder and one for the MIG welder. I used to have it semi-permanently installed in the welding table, but I decided that I want to be able to move around a little bit better. So yeah, anyway, yeah, there's lots of stuff going on. It's a big mess. Please don't pay attention to it, but at least I can work. And now being able to work inside is such a big difference compared to working outside, like laying in the gravel or in rain and wind and everything. So it is still on jack stands, but it is already way better than before. So I'm happy, over the moon. So let's have a look at what happened last week and install an oil cooler in the Volvo. Not bad. This is a nice oil catch machine thingy, majingy. A little bit on the small side, but it's I think I like this. It smells a little bit of gasoline, but nothing weird. Oil looks good. Nice and brown yellowish. No clear particles or whatever, no debris. This makes me happy. So this should go on like this, and then one of these adapters that I got should fit, and I think it should be the 3/4 connection. Let's test this. Yes, which is nice. And this one goes on, this goes here. These go here, ish, no, one over. Well, this looks good. Looks like it's going to come together all quite nicely. But that's what you get if you just buy off the shelf parts that are made for a specific purpose, I guess. I wonder which size this is. This is socket 24 and it's too small. And the next one's 27 and that's perfect. Let's put this together. Oh, that's not great. The aluminum of this adapter is chipping. Okay, let's make sure. Yeah, this is good. Okay, new oil filter for the ones wondering. This is just a stock Volvo filter, which will be fine for like 9 out of 10 applications, since I'm not like running high boost or whatever, and it's essentially it's just a now let's put on the filter, clean it off since my hands are quite oily. This towel is not much better, but and just put it on hand tight, which is more than enough. Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. I moved the camera and then accidentally stopped recording with my thick, greasy fingers. But the thing you missed is that I tightened down these nice AN fittings, filters on here. The only thing underneath the car I need to do is move the oil temperature sensor, which is in the sump plug now, and there's the wire for it. That one has to go here to get a little bit of better oil temperature reading. So yeah, that's one thing. But that's the only thing underneath the car. Then if we move, oh, I'm getting old. If we move up here, the only thing here left is to connect these hoses to the plugs that are not here. And yeah, well, plugs, the AN connectors. I have these 90-degree connectors, so this one goes here, the other one goes here. Need a little bit of protection there where the hoses run through this hole. It is kind of nicely rounded over, but I do want to add some of this rubber edge protection. But for the life of God, I can't find these AN fittings. And well, I've been moving around, everything's a big mess. I have no idea where they are, so I think I get a little bit stuck here. I'm going to look now, and hopefully you can find it. I've been thinking, and also looking in like every box and everything I have in the new workshop, but I've been thinking, and I think that these AN connectors might be in the old workshop still. There's very little still inside. I was there like half an hour ago to pick up the jack stands that I need, since the lift is not assembled yet. Didn't really stand out, but I might have overlooked it. So I'm heading back now to the old house and the old workshop, and see if they're still there. So this is what's left of the old workshop. Still some small tools and things I hardly use. And I figured the connections would be in this pile, this big mess. But they aren't. So, and I looked in like everything, like all the small piles are made of stuff, but literally no idea where they are. So I'll better head back to the new house and check everything again over there, because I'll probably store them in there somewhere, like, oh, if I store them here I won't lose them, but then I do. So let's go back. Yes, I found them. They were in a very small box somewhere in the corner with some parts that I just threw in a box when moving. Okay, great, let's move on. This sensor is way too long for this adapter. Fuck. So yeah, just installed oil cooler, lines, adapter, everything, and now we just got stuck. It's always something small. This time it's this oil temperature sensor that previously was in the sun pan, but that's not an ideal position for a sensor like this, because that's like there's not really oil flowing a lot along, so this can be cooler than the actual temperature inside the engine. So I wanted to move the sensor to the adapter, where it has two outlets for with a 1/8 inch imperials. Okay, 1/8 NPT pickup points, and this one's too long, as you just saw in the video. And I'm not sure if I can just remove a part, but it's like it needs at least 10 millimeters removed from the top. So I'm a little bit hesitant to just put this in the lathe and just remove a part. But so I'm going to look online and see if I can find this sensor with similar values, but then with a shorter sensor thingy, majingy, phallical part. Anyway, so that's stuck, and if I get that, I can't find it. I either can put this back in the sun pan, which is not ideal, but better than nothing, or I try to shorten it, but that's a little bit dangerous because it might ruin. It's like if the actual sensor is in the, like all the way in the end of the tube, and I cut it off, then it will be destroyed. But maybe I can find like a diagram of this sensor. I don't know. But other than that, if the sensor is in place, new oil in the car, and it will be ready for the track. So keep tuned for the next. Okay, so I couldn't let this rest, and I went back into the workshop and uninstalled the adapter plate. And I found out that on this side, the sensor indeed didn't get in, but I figured it was hitting here already, but it's way earlier. And it turns out that this slot they milled in isn't deep enough, and it's hitting. It's kind of hard to see, but it's hitting on where the drill, or the probably mill, end mill, ended, so it can't go further in. My own mill is not really set up to do any work right now, and I don't want to retap this NPT thread, so I figured out that on the other side the thing goes in as it should, but it just hits the inside before it gets tight on the threads. And since this is a tapered thread, it seals on this thread. So what I'm going to do, hopefully, is not destroy this sensor by just grinding off a very thin slither, like 1 or 2, well, probably only 1 mil of the end of this sensor, and hopefully the actual sensor, the electronic device that's inside, is probably somewhere, hopefully in the middle or whatever, not all the way in the end. I looked online for a drawing, like a technical drawing of this thing, but that was, yeah, that's not going to happen, and I didn't find it. Even though I have like an exact number, part number and everything here on the side, and the brand. But yeah, if it's just a little bit shorter, I can get it to fit. But then the engine on this side is a little bit close, so maybe I'm not sure. Maybe I have to rotate the whole assembly and get the lines to make a small curve, whatever. But if the sensor fits here, I first have to make sure that it fits here, and then we'll solve the issue on the engine. And if not, then I can always like probably mill something like this, but that's quite a hard task and it gets chips everywhere. So the easiest part will be to not modify this one and modify this sensor. So let's do that. Let's mark it where I want to go. Just a hair. The thickness of the blade. Ooh. Yeah, it is that thin. Shit. Focus, please. Yep, it didn't work. Now I'm done for. Hopefully I can get it's now Wednesday and Monday is the track day, so hopefully I can get a new sensor before Monday. Okay, so I didn't want to give up, and like I had a look, and I think inside it's I can't see it, but I think the actual sensor is here, and there was this spring inside, which is just, I think, probably just for conducting heat. So what I did, I machined and just hooked up the lathe, was still in transport mode. I machined this small nub, which I'm going to press in with just using the bench vise. And this should seal it up, and let's just test. After, it's easy to test this sensor, since I'll just get the kettle out, like Bad Obsession Motorsport always does. But not to make tea this time, but just to test this sensor. If the gauge in the car still says 100 degrees if the water is boiling. And it keeps doing that after a few minutes, so there is no, that's an indication that there's no water inside and destroying the sensor. Then it should work, I guess. So I made it a little bit shorter even on the lathe while we're at it. Made this knob in, going to press it in, and yeah, we'll just see what happens. Fingers crossed. MacGyver style. Well, that worked. Just need to do a little bit of cleanup since the brass messed up this aluminum nubbin a little bit, but I'll just put it in a lathe again and make this nice. Hang on. So with some cleaning it looks like this. Not super pretty, but the brass is flared out a little bit. As you can see, it's a little bit thicker in the end. I deliberately made the aluminum part a little bit too big, so this would happen. And it should be like a watertight, well, hopefully oil tight seal around it. So yeah, let's get the kettle and see if it still works. So the sensor is in water. Just dipped it in it. Maybe it should be a little bit lower. Yeah, this is fine. And yeah, kettle is working hard to get it to boil. Hopefully my girlfriend won't be too mad that I use her nice kettle. But let's see. Turn on ignition and see if we get a reading. Yeah, I'm not going to film this, although I'll just pause and come back when the water's boiling. It'll take a few minutes more. So the water is boiling now, and shit, no measurement, but I just realized that it's a 1-pin sensor, so it needs ground with the car to function. Let's try to get that working. Yeah, and as soon as I hook it up to ground, then this happens. The sensor is not in warm water or anything, it's just dangling in the air now. So I do think I killed the sensor. Bah! So sadly the fix didn't work. I think the aluminum nubbin did its job in like sealing this thing again, but maybe the spring has some kind of function. I don't know how these things actually work. I kind of assumed there was this thermocouple component inside with just 2 wires, one to the body and one to this pin. But maybe it's just like this B-metal thing, whatever, and the spring has some kind of... I have no idea. It doesn't work. So I'm going to quickly order a new one. Hopefully it will be in before the weekend. Before Monday. Otherwise I would be driving without oil temperature gauge, and that's like the only gauge I want and I need. So okay, I'm going to do one more of these weird comebacks after giving up. I was just getting ready to clean and turn off the lamp and everything. I was like, didn't I order a water temperature gauge? And yes, I do. And a water temperature gauge is the only difference between a water temperature gauge and an oil temperature gauge is the word on the actual gauge. Because, well, all the instructions are the same. And also the sensor is the same. And since this kit is new, there's a new and functional sensor with it. And I would be a very unlucky guy if this one didn't fit either, but this one fits. You can see it's, well, it has to be tightened, but there's more than plenty space for this sensor. So I'm really happy. I'm going to put it in the right side, obviously. But yeah, very happy. The only thing I have to do is install this gauge, which I was going to do anyway, but which I can't since I have to make an adapter that goes in this heater hose. Haven't got that yet. I could have ordered one. I will probably order one since I have to order a new sensor for the oil temp. Anyway, long story short, going to install this one, put it somewhere on the dash, and use it for a oil temperature gauge in the meanwhile. And then, why does it say 135? Shouldn't it be 0 when it's... Oh well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But now I'm really going to end this video. It's really late now. And I want to go start edit this video so it can go online on Thursday. Bye bye.